Thank you for being flexible. Hi everyone, my name is Shilpa Nandwani. I'm the regional coordinator of ICHIRP, which stands for International Coalition for Human Rights in the Philippines. It's also where my shirt comes from. We actually hosted a Stop the Killings tour that went across the country. In DC, went all the way to Los Angeles in California. And the essence of what we do is talk about what are the human rights violations that are happening in the Philippines and connecting it internationally. So the US chapter actually just formed in December of last year. However, there are chapters all over the world, and something that I think is being brought up today is the importance of that solidarity work. If you can't tell, I'm also not Filipino. I'm South Asian American, and so the struggles that exist between countries aren't isolated. And so something that we do is really just talk about what are the human rights violations, particularly in these drug killings. I think we can all unite on the fact that this is not okay, that there's no justice for the folks who have been murdered. And so what can we do? What legislation can we pass? What can we really unite on? And how can we continue to have these conversations with people who may not know what's going on, or who read what's happening in the news, but then don't know how to help or how to act upon it. And so something that we do is also send folks to the Philippines to really experience on the ground what's happening, and then to report back on this is what I've seen, this is what's happening. And so there's actually going to be a community forum tomorrow being held at NISNA, the New York State Association of Nurses, or Nurses Association, talking about people's experience from their time spent in the Philippines. And so really understanding what is happening on the ground, how is what we're talking about here relating to that, and how can we take action together. And so that's happening tomorrow, so if you'd like a flyer around that, I can provide that to you. Also next week is the State of the Nation address that's happening in the Philippines. And so President Duterte kind of talks about what are the conditions of the Philippines. And so knowing all of these numbers of the deaths and of the injustices that have happened, it's really important that we also come together and we ensure that he's telling the truth. We've talked about a little bit on how the government, Justine was talking about how the government kind of skews numbers to make it come off a certain way. And so we'll actually be gathering in front of the Philippine consulate next Monday on the 23rd to talk about the truth behind the conditions of the Philippines. Not necessarily just what the president tells us or the government tells us, because sometimes, as we said, that's skewed. If folks also have questions about what ICHIRP does, whether in New York or New Jersey or across the country, I'd be happy to answer those. One question that was coming up for me, which I don't know if we're going directly into Q&A, but some of you might know that martial law has been declared in Mindanao in the Philippines for quite a while now. It was supposed to end in December of last year, but it was postponed. And so in thinking about that policy around law enforcement and military, kind of what happens when martial law is declared, and how is that impacting the drug war, kind of leaving room for this war on drugs to exist. I'll also pass around some flyers for folks if they're interested afterwards.
Cool. Well, thanks for joining us. So I was actually invited to join 2 days of Capitol Hill meetings with people on the ICHIRP tour back in March, and I learned a lot. And one of the things we need to keep in mind is, right now there's so much focus on the drug war killings, and numerically, by far, they are vast bulk of them, but there are long-running problems with extrajudicial killings for other reasons, activists of different kinds, environmental, indigenous, and others, and other abuses. So, they are, even though they're still much smaller than what's going on in the drug war right now, they're getting worse, both qualitatively and quantitatively. I think it's a very dangerous situation. And groups like ITERP are playing an important role in bringing attention to these continuing problems.